Good afternoon, Coolest Coast. It's time for Coffee on the Coast. Good
Hello.
afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge, welcoming back Kristin Keck from Manitowoc Public Library. Hi, Kristin.
Hello.
So
Hello,
I,
hello.
I understand you've got an exciting new teen hangout coming up.
Yes, we're going to try a game. We're going to try to play a life-size, I'm going to put that in quotes, Oregon Trail. And if you don't remember Oregon Trail, then you probably weren't in school from in the 1980s, roughly. It was, and still is, a very addictive, very frustrating game about being a traveler on the Oregon Trail, being a settler, a pioneer who's going to go from Leavenworth or possibly Kansas City, Missouri, all the way to Wilmette, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but Wilmette Valley in Oregon to settle there. Probably the most famous people that traveled along or part of the way on the Oregon Trail were the Donner Party, but we're
Oh,
not
this
going to
is
talk
the
about that.
second reference to the Donner Party in my life today. This is crazy. Okay.
Really? Oh, wow. That is wild. Okay.
Yeah, that is very wild.
That is very strange. Well, it's almost Halloween. We can talk about that because it's spooky and weird. But yeah, that's not going to happen. And it's sort of life-size in the sense that we're going to be physically moving along a path in the room. We're not going to be playing it on the computer. We're going to be collecting supplies, setting out on the path. We're going to ford metaphorical rivers. We're going to stop at forts and hopefully pick up more supplies, or we're all going to get sick from measles and die.
Oh, this is the
There's a
whole
lot of ways
dysentery
to die.
reference.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing in the game when you move to a certain square, you have a chance of dying of something that people on the Oregon Trail would have contracted, like typhoid or dysentery. Or dysentery is just the one that stuck because it's gross. And it was rolled out as a game for middle schoolers. So,
Oh, funny. Okay.
it's gross. So,
So in the original computer game, you played as a settler and you had to
mm-hmm,
keep them alive as they
mm-hmm.
did this whole journey. So that includes
Yes.
supplies, the arduous things like
Mm-hmm,
fording rivers. What else were
mm-hmm.
you confronted with?
Hunting, because you can take food supplies with you. You only have a certain amount of room on your wagon, and you have up to 5 people in your party. We are going to play in parties. So if you have friends you want to play with that will be in your party, bring them along because that'll be fun. Otherwise, you might get grouped with someone else in this too, because you need at least like 3 people in your party to really make this happen.
Okay.
But yes, if you don't have enough food supplies, then if you're fording a river, your food supplies can get washed away. And if you can't hunt for something, then you're all going to starve to death. If a blizzard blows up and you don't have a change of clothes, you're going to freeze to death. Hypothermia is a real problem, or was a real problem. And you only have so much room. So you can only carry so many medical supplies, so much food, so much water. Your oxen need to be taken care of because they're pulling your wagon. If your oxen die, you're stuck. I mean, there's a chance you'll die there too. But these are the things you were confronted with in the computer game. And you had to make these choices. Do I spend, medical supplies on this person to cure them of dysentery or typhoid? Or do we just let them die and keep them keep them for the next person?
And
Keep myself alive as opposed to keeping.
is there
Sorry.
merit to collaborating with any of the other parties, or is it like each party for themselves?
Each party is sort of on their own. This is just your little world, your wagon full of stuff, and your oxen and your party traveling across this vast expanse of it was a 3 to 6 month journey to do this, to go from, I always say Leavenworth, Kansas City, or Leavenworth, because that's what the game says. But Westport, which is near where I grew up, Westport, Missouri is another starting point for the Oregon Trail.
So you're going to be
At
introducing
St. Joe.
teens of today to
Teens
this
of today.
throwback
Yes.
concept, which I can see it having a lot of merit. I think we still don't necessarily think in these grand terms of how would you survive something like this. So this is a teen hangout, part of your On the Table game series, life-sized Oregon Trail. So tell us more. Like I start to think about like wizarding chess or something. What happens in this life-size?
Well, in our game, we are going to advance for 1 square. There will be 33 squares because it was approximately 33,000 miles. It was a long trip, and people made not 33, 3,300 miles. I added an extra 0, but it was a long trip. And when people set out, they really, you're kind of setting out and hoping for the best. It's just so you will land on a tile. It's a square of paper. And then we're going to roll some dice. So we're going to discover things the same way the ancient pioneers did, by rolling the big foam dice and seeing what comes up. You could be fording a river, which means some of your supplies may be washed away. You could be coming down with typhoid, which means if you don't have medical supplies, you're probably going to die. If you do die, you're going to end up holding up a little tombstone by where you died on the road, which I think is funny. But but yeah, the dice will control. So your fate is really up to the roll of what it lands on. If it lands on an even number, that's usually a good outcome. If it lands on an odd number, well,
Curtains
you might have
you.
a choice to make. So if someone in your party is sick, do you give them your medical supplies? Keep them alive? If one part of your party, one person just has to survive, cross into the Willamette Valley, and the whole party will win. So it's sort of it's a choice. Are you going to share your supplies? Are you going to share, your food supplies can be pooled. Are you going to try and hunt if you run out of food? If you do, and you roll, that odd number, your whole party may die. So
when you roll that odd number, is it like you pick a card or something that tells you what the situation? Or how?
Yeah, you will pick a card, and some of them are just continue on, and some of them are ford a river, or some of them are good cards too. Like you have, you can stop at different forts along the way. Fort Laramie is probably the most well-known one because there's a TV show about it. But you can stop, and there you have an opportunity to pick up more supplies. We have in the computer game, you had to buy them, and you have a finite amount of money. In the life-size game, we've kind of eliminated that, mostly because I don't want to do math. So
Nothing wrong with math, but
nothing wrong with math. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
when there's an option to avoid it, go ahead.
When there's option to avoid it, I'm not interested in it. So let's just skip that part.
So let's say you find out that you're fording a river. How do you know whether or not supplies get washed away?
It'll be on the card. So if you ford a river, then your supplies get washed away. Then you have choices to make. Sometimes you make it across just fine. There's, it's a lot of it is the whim of fate and the big foam dice that will tell you what's going on.
So is it better to have more players on your team?
I would say it's better to have more players on your team. If you can, we're going to limit the total number of players you can have to 5 per party, but everyone will have at least 2 supply cards. So you'll have, food that you can feed everyone with, and you will have another supply card. So medical supplies, clean clothes, a spare ox. I mean, just things that you might need.
Right. Okay.
Going.
So this teen hangout,
Mhm.
life-size Oregon Trail, when is this happening?
This is happening in November, and I've forgotten which day because I'm like that. Hold on. It's like the second Thursday in November. So the 13th. Ooh, lucky number. 13 at 6 o'clock. And we'll go from 6 to 7:30ish or until everyone has died of dysentery. One of the two.
Okay, and this is teen
Nobody's
specific.
actually going to die of dysentery, but you might draw that on a card.
So teens, 11 to 19-ish?
11 to 18, yeah.
11 to 18?
Right in
Okay.
there. Come with friends, or be prepared to sacrifice a total stranger if you're.
Do you need
We'll get.
pre-registration?
No, you don't. This is
Okay.
all just sign up, come on in, and I missed the Oregon Trail, the computer game, when I was in school, and I picked it up later. It is sort of addicting. I've been playing it again because I've been preparing for this one, and yeah, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, but you want to try again the minute you cash out, you want to try again.
So the original game is still playable.
Yes, it's still playable.
Ooh.
If you search on Google Oregon Trail Free or Oregon Trail Original, both of those should bring up the original game, which you don't have to make an account for or anything. If you don't want to, you can just play it, and it won't save your progress if you don't make an account. But you can just play it until you die. I am not good at it. I'll just say that. I seem to keep getting stuck right around Fort Laramie, come to think of it. Maybe that's why I think it's the most famous one. And I get there
So
and
it
I'm just like, no.
sounds like it's kind of addicting that once you start, you
It
want to keep going.
really is. You want to keep going. You want to see how far you can get this time.
Does
And
anyone ever make it? Do people succeed?
people have beaten it. I have not personally, but people remember. I mean, when I say the Oregon Trail and people go, oh, yeah, I used to play that all the time. I only won once or something like that. Or I used to win all the time. It's like, how did you do that?
So
You just let people die.
in the deaths that you've experienced, do you know what's caused it? Like what the kind of death knell was?
Yes.
Okay.
Several times it was bad water. So you have to be very careful where you stop and drink, or carry water, carry enough water that you can get through. Um, a couple times I have completely failed to hunt up enough food. A couple times it was typhoid. Typhoid and measles seem to be the big ones, that because you can stop and rest and recharge your party, and hopefully they get over it. But all that time you're not making progress, and you're eating and you're drinking and
Yeah.
so it's a toss up. Do you press on? Do you cut rations and press on and hope that everybody just makes it? Or do you stop and hope they recover enough to press on more efficiently? Because it's a lot of logistics and a lot of supply chain and managing your supplies. And the life size game is simpler, but it's still that let's manage our supplies. Let's see how will we make this the most advantageous for someone to get to Oregon. Because just one person in your party can cross the finish line and everybody wins. Probably some sort of little snack, but still everybody
Oh.
wins. Real snacks will be provided, as well as your food supply cards. Real snacks do not count as food supply cards for the game.
Gotcha. Cool. So not only is there this
Mm-hmm.
fun teen hangout playing a
Mm-hmm.
life-size game, but there are snacks.
Mm-hmm. There are snacks. I will probably be dressed up in pioneer attire. That is not required for everybody else, but I don't have one of those bonnets. That's the only thing I really lack. But I've got my skirts, and I've got my pinafore, and I've got my petticoats, so I'm ready.
I'm just thinking too about how valuable this kind of strategy would
Mm-hmm.
be for like teens growing up and possibly entering the business world or
Mm-hmm.
management of some kind, being able to think through
Mm-hmm.
all of those different, how do you apply these resources? What do you do with
Mm-hmm.
these assets? How do you, yeah.
Do you hoard? Do you spend? Do you, make sure that stop to make sure that your entire party is well rested, or do you press on? It's the game is so strategic, and it is it seems so simple when you start, and then you die immediately and you're like, wait, I did everything right, I thought, so let's go back and start over and see if we
Will there be the
can.
option to start over when you're playing the life-size
Yes.
game? Okay.
Yes. So if you want to, if everybody is holding a tombstone, then you can all regroup, respawn, go back to the beginning, and maybe reconfigure, and then we'll see. You can try again. You can definitely try again, which is not true for the real Oregon Trail. I read a really interesting thing when I was kind of researching this a little bit, that historians think that if there was one grave for every person that died, like on the Oregon Trail, because a lot of them are gone now, because they didn't have stone or anything. They just put a wooden cross and moved on. But they estimate that there would be a grave every 50 miles from Missouri to Oregon.
Wow.
A lot of people died. It was a real leap of faith to go to start this. And it's interesting to me because Westport, where a lot of them did start off, there's in Kansas City, where I used to live, there is a big statue to the people who kind of made Westport happen like that. Leavenworth is another big place, and St. Joe in St. Joseph, Missouri, is another place where they started from. And all of those places have memorials to the people that started. Not so much in St. Joe, because that's where the Pony Express started, and they're more interested in that. But
think about that fortitude, though, and that courage that those
and
settlers needed, right? And like, if they
yeah,
hadn't
into
done
the
that,
wilderness.
wow.
If they hadn't done that, that would be, there wouldn't be this amount of people. But yeah, they kept diaries, they kept journals, they recorded the stuff that happened to them, and they're really fascinating to read as well. Just the way people managed, and you got up at first light and you ate your beans and you started.
It gives you a whole different perspective on the lives that we're leading today, right? Like something that we might complain about, if you put that into like Oregon Trail experience, you'd be like, oh, this is not even worth like.
No, this is not. I mean, the things that we're used to now, I wouldn't want to live during the Oregon Trail time, which was 1848 to 1900. Well, when the Transcontinental Railroad, that sort of ended that. So suddenly you could move really fast in terms of, in terms of you're getting from St. Joe, or Kansas City was the big railroad hub then. So Kansas City through to Atchison, and you could be in California in a week.
Did
as
the
opposed
railway
to
kind of follow the path that they took?
In some places it did. In some places, though, you can still go and see the wagon ruts. They're ground so deep in the earth that from all the people who walked, and most people walked beside their oxen. There was one person driving the oxen, and oxen were used because they can pull a lot more. Horses are expensive and also more delicate. It's odd to think of a horse as delicate, but they kind of are. Oxen could pull a lot more for a lot longer. And so mostly it was oxen. The wagons were not built for comfort. They were built for hauling stuff. So it was actually more comfortable to walk alongside the wagon, unless you were really sick or elderly, in which case, yeah, they rode mostly. But they didn't have shock absorbers. I mean, imagine all that way over all those rocks and, mud ruts and stuff. And
that wasn't even the worst of what they faced.
No.
Wow. All right.
Not at all.
Teens, this is such a cool opportunity. You can not only check out and explore the original game first, you can also dig in and learn so much about this point in history.
Yeah.
But then you can come and join Kristin at the Manitowoc Public Library
and play
for a teen hangout on November 13th, 6 p.m. It is a life-sized Oregon Trail game experience. Kristin, it sounds great. You've always got cool things happening there.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really hoping that somebody makes it. That's all.
Yes.
Somebody makes it.
Good luck, guys. Good luck.
Somebody wins. Yes.
Well, thanks for joining
Okay.
us so much today.
Thank
Thanks for being my
you.
guest, Kristin.
Oh,
You've been
yeah.
watching Coffee on the Coast. My guest, Kristin Keck of Manitowoc Public Library. I'm your host, Tina Prigge, signing off. Bye, everyone.
Bye.